Okay. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me immense pleasure in welcoming each one of you at this exclusive webinar, Strategic Insights on Transforming Quality Management, brought to you by Blue Tech Media and powered by Sparta Systems. For every pharmaceutical company, attaining quality assurance throughout the manufacturing process is of utmost critical importance. From managing standard operating procedures to work instructions and specifications, audits to change controls and customer complaints. There is a need of quality management solutions for the streamlined and effective production process. The highest functioning quality programs integrate their quality management and document control processes. By doing so, they maximize the effectiveness of both solutions, widen transparency, and create stronger collaboration around quality. Real value comes when companies manage all quality control processes in one QMS solution to provide a single source of truth for quality and support real time collaboration for a growing digital workforce and ecosystem. We bring to you today an exclusive webinar where we can focus on leading pharmaceutical organizations prioritize excellence through quality and compliance to achieve consistent results at all times while ensuring the highest standards. We shall look at the importance of how they incorporate leading edge quality management technology to help them take more efficient and effective decisions to drive compliance and operational excellence. To start this webinar today, let me welcome our first speaker, Mr. Ashutosh Mittal, Head Global Quality Digital and Program Leader Digital Transformation Biocon Biologics, to share his view on a journey beyond proactive quality success story from the biopharmaceutical sector using QMS. So over to you, Mr. Mittal.
Yeah, thanks Ashish for giving me this opportunity, and I think thanks for all who have joined this webinar. So what is happening today? I think digital has become a very key word in all pharmaceutical company, and especially for me who has a 20 plus years in quality and then moving into digital. I think I can see a lot of benefit there. Probably the way we are doing quality over a period of time, I think it has become more and more complicated and more bureaucratic also. So I think digital is the way forward, which will actually lead us to a smart quality, and we can really make the best out of digital the way we really want to implement it. So today, what I'm going to cover is more about what is the importance of how we can actually put a QMS into more like an integrated quality lifecycle management, how we can drive operational efficiency, and how we can connect multiple things into one tool. Okay. So first foremost thing is why what is the importance of being digital quality management system. So see, I think you all probably have done a lot of things on quality, and over a period of time, documentations has really become very big. Probably uh, we are making maybe products less and documents more today, and that's why probably digital has really going to challenge that status quo, bringing a lot of value. So far, first thing which is really important, which probably this digital system will help you, is to drive more preventive and predictive compliance. Okay. So what is happening today is whenever we see and try to understand these documents, existing documents, it is more or less is more reactive approach. We are trying to solve problems once problem is already done. And today, in the scenario of COVID, in scenario of things where probably customer or patient needs solutions very fast, this digital system is going to help you. You can really move into a system where you can have a very strong system which can really guide you how to do things better and better day by day, and you will be understanding problems which is upcoming and solve them. Similarly, you can have a really quality data. When I say quality data, is not only data related to quality system. Even the data sanity will be there. You will have a data which is really going to be beneficial. You can actually have all see through things. And also, for example, if somebody give you 2000 kappa and try to find something out of that manually, it's very difficult. But in digital system, you can really find what exactly has happened, why it has happened, how and what area you have to really go back and do better controls. So that means you will have a lot of actionable items also, or actionable decision making things also. Okay. Third thing is probably, especially in pharma or medtech companies, complaints are really, just maybe as an information. Okay, we used to get information and then probably we are not going into more details, understanding that well, which is not the right approach actually. So here in digital system, you can really think for a platform where you can do not only intake of complaints, but also you can actually go a more detailed management of complaints. Okay. Fourth thing is probably, we all are working in a scenario where a lot of vendors are supplying things to us. We are actually consolidating things at our factories and sending it back. So this digital system will help you to make a very centralized supplier quality management also. And I have seen companies who has even, because probably small companies cannot afford a big systems, so even they are cascading this system through their own trackwise or something to these supplier companies where they can really use it in a more integrated way. And finally, not the least, is we will have a very clear integrated quality process where everything will be in sync with each other. If you have a incident, maybe you can understand what is the deviation, how you're doing investigation. From same route, you can open a CAPA, you can make an action items, even you can actually link this with your regulatory finding. So you can actually do a lot of integrations here and there. And now what is happening is people are going to next level. Not only QMS, they are integrating QMS with LMS, with DMS, with RIMS. So what is actually happening is this helps you to go more into more proactive approach. So for example, if you are running a batch, and at the time of running a batch, you say, okay, these people are going to work on this batch. Automatically, system is going to drive you that whether things are going well or not. So that's what probably is the approach which is required. Okay. Now, before going into more detailed integrations and those things, I really want to pause for a minute and just try to give you a more glimpse what exactly is digital versus innovation. Okay, it's a very important thing where probably you have to understand that it is not only digital which is going to drive everything. You need to actually also be more innovative also. Okay, so, for example, and this is something which organically we have done within our background, that how really mapping is done. So, if your way of working is traditional and you are doing little bit on digitalization, I think it's something which is a level one. Okay, and if you really want to move into level two, either in terms of digital or either in terms of working way, then you will be going to maybe something. If you keep seem digital, and there are multiple companies who are example who are also digital to some extent, but the way of working is very innovative, and that's a level two. And finally, if you really want to go to level four, I think the thing is that you really have to innovate also and make things digital also, because then only the use of technology and your basic way of working is going to help you. Okay. Now, probably how this all system fit in your operational efficiency. So for sure, many things you can really understand. You don't need system to give a manual login. You don't need system to control things. You don't need manual systems for monitoring. So by per se, many things will be obviously solved by going digital. But if you really want to go to next level, I think you have to go a little further. Only basic digitalization will not help. Okay, so you have to really work on everything. You have to work with partners, users, processes, business. So you really have to go for a change management to bring that level of operational efficiency. So that means if you just copy paste your existing process and make into digital, it's not going to work. You have to make them more simplified, more agile. You have to see how user are actually adopting that, how you're actually taking user feedbacks, understanding what they really want, communications, maybe a support help desk, application, means like everything should be very remotely done. Now the thing is, ultimately, like for example, when we really see what is ROI, I can tell you very frankly, if you go basic things, means like if you move into digitalization, I think 50% efficiencies for sure will come. But if you are going to go with this change management approach, I think you can even go to 60%, 65%. And obviously, you have to go from a me and we approach to a approach. So if you really see now, if I try to quantify into overall benefits when we go for a digital QMS, first thing is very important. It actually give you a more enhanced transparency. Okay. Obviously, if you are looking for a system where you really want things to be hidden and nobody can find them, I think manual system is the best for you. But if you really want to go to that level of transparency where you can find a problem statement very early, you can solve it, and you can really give a good product to the customer or to patient, I think you have to go for a digital system. Okay. At the same time, this is also going to improve your document quality. Okay. And this will not come in a day one. It will be an over a period of time. Maybe your errors, which is basically your good documentation practices, will be done day one because people cannot fudge on rates and everything. But ultimately, your aim is to have a real quality content going to digital. Otherwise, there is no benefit. Third thing, which is I already explained, is you will improve your efficiency. Your transaction times will decrease drastically, and if you have same set of people doing through digitally, you can actually use them for other things also. And obviously, quicker and easier compliance and regulatory reporting. I think there is a now trend going on. Even FDA is looking that you give us a data and we will do analytics and see whether really we want to come to your site or not. So that means slowly and slowly things are moving into more structured digital approach. And at the same time, it will be increased visibility. Your seniors can make decision very fast. Uh, and ultimately, if decisions are fast, maybe your overall costing and everything will be reduced. So this is something I just keep as an example. Probably you all are talking about industry 4.0. So obviously pharma 4.0 is also way forward. So that means here I try to capture what all will be happening in research and development, what will be happening in manufacturing, sales and marketing, supply chain. So that means in addition to your quality management system, these all areas also where probably digital is going to help you. Okay, you can really go for a very good systematic approach of R&D. Blockchain can help you to actually keep your IPs safe. Manufacturing can be more modular, can be more automated. uh, Probably you have seen the value of sales and marketing through digital means in COVID time, and at the same time, your supply chain system can be more faster, more smarter also. Okay, so that's all from my side. I really try to keep within 15 minutes. Thank you, Ashish, for opportunity. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. That was an excellent presentation, Mr. Mittal. And I'm sure that this is filled with valuable insights for all the participants attending this webinar today. And for our next session, I would like to welcome Mr. Ramkrishna Parsekar, Global Application Head, Deputy General Manager, Global Information Technology at Wockhardt Limited, to share his views on the topic, the technology journey in pharma quality, insights and strategies. Over to you, Mr. Parsekar.
Ashish, thank you so much for your introduction and this wonderful opportunity to share observations and insights with all the quality professionals and those who are stakeholders in quality. I will now share my presentation. So I'll be presenting on the entire technology journey along the evolution of pharma quality and what kind of insights we can draw from this journey so that our journey continues at the same pace or rather increased pace to meet the futuristic challenges. So my agenda will be trying to identify the drivers for quality evolution and then how technology has moved from an enabler to a competitive differentiator, uh, understanding the maturity model of technology, because whenever we undertake any technology revolution, may it be information technology or digital technology, it is important to understand where we stand, and then understanding the entire context in terms of quality technology ecosystem, and some insights into unlocking maximum strategic value from IT and digital transformation. I thank Ashutosh for setting a stage so well for me. He's also from a pharma domain, and he has highlighted some of the very important points which I can resonate with. And maybe I don't need to talk about them. He has already explained them so well. So, even before we talk about technology, we need to understand what are the key drivers of quality evolution. One of the important drivers is advancements in the science of medicine. Say, when we talk about what kind of new medicinal innovations have happened, we have SGLT2 receptor inhibitors in diabetic and cardiac treatment, or we have double acting osteoporosis, romosozumab, which has been given a approval and nod by FDA. These are new age medicines. And for new age medicines, even the manufacturing process and the quality parameters get
Sorry
redefined.
to stop you there, Mr. Parsikar. I believe we are not able to see your presentation. Can you please share your presentation?
Are you able to see now?
Not yet.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay. Is it visible now?
yeah, yes, we can see that.
Okay. Okay. So I just gave an example of how advancements in science of medicine was a key driver to quality evolution. In a similar fashion, we have multiple drivers like increasing regulatory expectations. We saw an entire decade of FDA driven theme of data integrity and all its various interpretations from FDA, as well as the guidance is from MHRA, whether it is Alcoa or Alcoa Plus. In the past 2 years, we have seen how there have been greater challenges through pandemics and newer work hazards, for which newer drugs have to be manufactured. And whenever there is a new drug, new technology, it involves new paradigms of quality to be defined. From an organizational viewpoint, there are expectations of operational excellence from lean operating models. We no more have the liberty of having huge resources, fat, uh, budgets, whether for the functional technology or IT technologies. Technology itself creates nudges. So now we have AI and ML and blockchain, such technologies which were not initially meant or designed for pharma, but because they are now available as technology, newer options and dimensions are now being explored to use them in pharma. And sometimes there are fundamental changes in the quality paradigm. To quote an example, we had a quality function deployment, say House of Quality by Yoji Akao, which completely created a new paradigm in terms of including customer voice in quality. So these are key drivers of quality evolution. And whenever we build a technology framework or an ecosystem, it is very important to understand what is the driver that we are responding to. Now, this has been a very like 30,000 feet journey of how IT systems have evolved to walk in tandem with quality. IT systems started with providing pure data storage and processing, data logging, data entry, and reporting. From there, we had function bias data structuring and processing. So, data was not merely rows and columns, but we had forms, electronic forms, and systems that looked like entries into your function. From there, we had a more controlled step of sequencing the steps of processing, and FDA talks about this in 21 CFR Part 11. The further evolution was checks and controls which were brought to ensure that even though there is a manual intervention, there is no there are no fraudulent entries, there are no inconsistencies. The next evolution was integration, where not only was there a seamless integration within the system, within the various subsystems of the system, but integration with other systems. So we just heard about TrackWise being implemented, the integration of TrackWise with SAP, integration with learning management systems, integration with DMS. So these kinds of intra and inter system integration was the next wave. The next wave after that was synchronicity. It was not only an inter-system integration, but the way the data fabric was woven, the way the data pipelines were set up, it was such that you had a unified, organic, holistic view of your entire function. The next wave was representation, wherein we began with different types of MIS reports, BI, BO, BW, until now it slowly, graduated into analytics, where we are getting huge amount of data that we have. We build stories around it. We create dashboards giving actionable insights. And as we just heard, we have come to a point of digital technologies. We have heard a beautiful differentiation between digitalization, and digital transformation. Here, I'm not talking about digitization, that's behind us. Digitalization has also happened to a great extent. In some organizations, it may still be happening. We are now on the frontiers of digital transformation. And the key ask there is, when we have tons and tons of data now encapsulated in our systems, how can we dive deep and how can we have deeper insights into this data? So if we take any system like SAP or TrackWise, with the newer versions of these systems, whether it is S4 or through QualityWise.ai, we make the users, the digital workers, more intuitive in terms of understanding what's going to happen preemptively in advance. It's not a post-mortem approach, but trying to understand in advance what can go wrong, what are the propensities of certain things happening, and how we can take action in advance. Whenever we want to bring about a transformation, we need to carry out a maturity model assessment. And as I just mentioned in my previous slide, this is another representation of how how the information technology has kept up pace with quality, initially being reactive, which was focused on issue resolution, then getting organized, structured, then getting digitized, where vast amount of manual and paper operations were converted into IT, then getting connected through integration. And now we are on the stage of intelligent systems. And while doing all this, it is not merely technology innovation or technology development, but what is the value that we are creating for the organization? That's what the top management asks now. You understand the value, you create a clear value proposition and ensure that that value is achieved within the framework of compliance. The IT/OT ecosystem that we have all built on through the years. We started with SAP, and this ecosystem, now the IT departments are also kind of umbrella watchdogs, or kind of overall responsible for IT and OT. So on the information technology front, we had SAP and subsystems. The next wave, where the regulatory agencies became more active, learning management system, TrackWise EQMS, DMS, then came LIMS, EBMR, eLogbook, MES. The next generation was the mega trends, the cloud-based applications, the mobility, the analytics, and we are now standing on intelligent applications, data lake, digital transformation. To give an example, TrackWise Digital. On the operational technology front, we had native software for lab and equipment. And from there, we moved on to Promelion, Empower, SDM, a scientific data management system, SCADA system, DCS, and historians, which were existing because they are a middleware now, and much higher are the demands as a third phase. And in many organizations, enough and adequate investment hasn't happened. There is a need to upgrade this system so that data can be extracted of them. Similarly, there are data lakes and analytics on the operational technology view on the front. And in an integrated fashion, we now think about analytic COE cockpit. So in a cockpit, the way a pilot sees everything that is needed for him to control the flight, in the same way, the management and the decision makers, maybe at strategic, tactical, or operational level, should get a cockpit of all the information that is needed. To conclude, I would like to say that this transformation is not unidirectional, it is not monochromatic, it is a multivariate transformation. And one of the most important factor in the transformation is bringing in a cultural change, insisting that you are ensuring that you are taking care of the risks involved, not only in the system that you are implementing, but also in the governance process, the implementation process. And hence, as a person who has implemented mission critical projects at project management, program, and portfolio management level globally in various geographies, US, UK, Ireland, Middle East, these are some of the insights that I would like to share with you. First of all, no project can be looked at in isolation. It has to be a project that crystallizes out in the prioritization list, in the process of understanding organizational objectives of operational excellence, compliance, and value creation. And if this has to happen, you need to have a project management office. Projects cannot be implemented because someone tells you to implement or just because there is a new technology. There has to be a management ask, and there has to be a clear-cut business case, a value proposition. We have already evolved into a state where compliance cannot be viewed as a necessary obstacle, necessary evil. We have realized that compliance brings about streamlining, structuring, and as a result of this, compliance is a value add to the business. If you are compliant, you will be able to do good business. We need to have clear-cut business case and value proposition with a FI controller acceptance, only to ensure that whatever is proposed and whatever is promised, at the end of the day, that value is realized. It is not merely a projection that this will happen. It has to be ensured that the value is realized in the books of account. We need top management support and CXO level sponsorship and deployment of adequate resources. I would like to state here that though there is a feeling that implementation of technology can reduce manpower, uh, ideally our goal should be to shift the manpower from their current skill sets and competencies to a more enriched skill sets and competencies, because with digital transformation a greater intuitive role will come onto the people. So there has to be a skill transformation as well. Use of best project management practices like PMP, Scrum. Value realization, institutionalization, and assimilation takes time. It is not just that we implement a project through ASAP methodology or whatever PMP, Prince2 methodology, and then we let it go live. And then after 1 or 2 years, we come back and we see that the system is not being utilized. So institutionalization of these technologies, these systems, and assimilation now also needs a closer, control and monitoring. Post go live periodic review, not only in a post go live immediate phase of assimilation, but periodic review every year, every 2 years, and we already have it in compliance. Annex 11 clearly talks about periodic review in the operational phase, and analytics on the utilization. That is what we have always harped on in our organization, there has to be some kind of a data that is created in terms of how people are using these technologies. If they are not using, how can we handhold them and slowly usher them into this new world? So this is what I wanted to present. It's a exciting new world, and this subject has never ceased to interest me. And it was absolutely, wonderful to share my thoughts about how we can bring this quality transformation in EQMS and various other technologies through the newer way of thinking and project management. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Parsikar, for that wonderful presentation, and I'm sure our participants enjoyed that thought provoking session filled with immense learning, which they will be able to take back to their professional journey. Now, for our final session, I would like to invite Mr. Amit Guru on stage. Amit is the Regional Director, Solution Engineering Asia Pacific at Sparta Systems, a Honeywell company, and will share his thoughts on the topic Smart Quality Management Leveraging Digital Transformation to Meet New Demands. So, over to you, Amit.
Thanks, Ashish. And first of all, sincere thanks to you and your team for this wonderful session. I can see a lot of efforts from you and your team.
Thank you.
I want to thank Mr. Ashutosh and Mr. Ramakrishna also, because it's always great to hear from them. I know Mr. Ashutosh and Mr. Ram is industry leader, and they are considered as one of the best mentors across India. So thanks to Mr. Ashutosh and Mr. Ram. I would also like to thank Simanti, who is actually helped me in this PPT, etc. So thanks. I'm just sharing my screen. Just let me know if you can see my screen. Is it visible now? Yeah, so I think my screen is visible to all. So today my topic is smart quality management, leveraging digital transformation to meet new demands. So as we all know that this is actually very interesting topic, and lot many regulators and customers from pharma, biopharma, meddio, and other areas like discrete manufacturing, they always talk about smart manufacturing, smart factory automation, etc. So as you know, I am basically from Sparta Systems, which is now Honeywell company. So maybe in 30 seconds I will try to give summary what actually we do. So we are having more than 4,000 global employees. We are having more than 1,300 software engineers. We are having 150 plus data scientists and AI experts. Apart from that, we are considered to have largest staff focused on quality in industry, because we have one branch which is known as like life science and quality management, where we try to focus all important aspects of any QMS or any manufacturing automation. Apart from that, we have relentless focus on innovation. We have multiple patents in different areas. For example, it could be life science, industrial segment. In industrial segment, if you see, we are serving one out of three plants worldwide. We are having great presence in building and automation. We are also into aerospace, and apart from that, we have some softwares which provide solutions for connected worker, and we are also having solutions related to cyber security. Now, coming to my another slide here, if you see, uh, we all know about like four noble truths are there, which are also known as Arya Satya, right? So, of course, this has been provided by Lord Buddha. First one is life is suffering, right? Which means that we need to understand, maybe in our professional life, or maybe if we consider ourselves as pharma or biopharma company, we need to understand that yes, there are some issues or some agonies within our pharma plant, right? So that is first thing. Second is, like, there is cause to our suffering, right? If some issue is there, for sure there is going to be certain causes, right? That also we need to understand. Apart from that, if we see if there is suffering, there should be remedy, right? And ultimately we have to follow the path for basically which is leading towards end of suffering, right? So this, if we see in pharma scenario, most of the time we understand that even uh, person who is handling digitalization is not able to understand that they are having certain issues. So issues, when I say, it may be related to compliance, it may be related to availability of your medicine to the end customer, or maybe data integrity issues, right? And ultimately we should try to have all those solutions which may lead towards the end of suffering, right? And today we will be discussing how these digital solutions can reduce that pain or can increase our compliance, and so that we all are having maximum benefits. Nowadays you will see lot of paradigm shift, because if you see data availability, 90% world's data today has been created in past 2 years, right? So you have deluge of data, right? Now how to use that data is big question, right? That's why these digital solution or digital transformation terms are quite common nowadays. Computing availability is i- improved like anything, right? Earlier we used to use some different terms, but now we use, for example, million instructions per second, right? So there is a lot of computing availability. Apart from that, mindset is also changed, right? So society is ready to adopt these cutting edge technology, right? So we hear about like industry 4.0, or maybe internet of things, right? So there, that's basically biggest paradigm shift if we specifically talk our pharma sector. Now if I go to next slide, then there are multiple aspects when you go for any quality management system adoption. You need to understand those aspects. First one is your maturity. How are we mature digitally? What's my business focus? How can I adopt many use cases? For example, suppose I'm trying to have my digitalization maybe roadmap, I need to focus on multiple use cases. It should not be like I'm just focusing only one use case, right? Apart from that, digitizing the core business. What's my core business? What actually I want to achieve after digital transformation? Then clear value capture thoughts, right? That becomes really very important. And your senior management support, it's also very very significant. Now if you see adopters, there are some lagging adopters. For example, your downstream oil and gas mining industry, there you have emerging adopters. For example, upstream oil and gas, then your machine manufacturers, chemical industry. Then if you see here, automotive, and most importantly pharma comes here, which are basically leading adopters, right? So that's really good to see, because this I have taken from McKinsey study. Pharma literally embracing these technologies like anything. Now if you see entire roadmap of digital transformation, then maybe I can show you certain stuff here. So here you can see, for example, you are going to have your digital services, then you are going to have workflow analytics, then monitoring and control mechanism and data, right? So ultimately, you are trying to transcribe your data into wisdom, right? So here, if you see all these solutions, for example, your manufacturing execution system, right? Your IoT platform, Honeywell is having one platform which is known as Niagara platform. Then we have TrackWise, then Track and Trace. Apart from that, you have data integrity remediation solutions. Then we also have Historian, then distributed control system or your supervisory control and data acquisition system, then electronic reports or electronic batch manufacturing record, asset management softwares, then building management and environmental monitoring softwares, then warehouse management system, then your DRVR technology, smart video, etc. So if you see holistically, ultimately you are going to have all the solutions which are going to be very crucial for your digitalized system can be taken at the same pace. And moreover, I would try to show how these systems can become your connected system, right? Because that's the biggest issue. Sometimes your maybe trackwise or QMS is not connected to maybe your ERP, or it's not talking to MES, right? Or it's not connected to track and trace. So there are multiple use cases. Ultimate end goal is to have maximum benefit of these systems. So these systems should never be in isolation. It should not be like island approach, right? If I go towards my next slide, then here we all are aware about ISA 95 structure, right? So basically it talks about certain labels, right? So if you go from label 1 to level 4, then you are going to have multiple systems which are playing vital or crucial role in your entire product lifecycle management, right? For example, here if you see, you are going at level 1, you are going to have some controllers, right, or sensors, right? Then if you reach towards level 2, then you are having disaster recovery, your SCADA, historian, your report station, asset management tools, your BMS, EMS is your environmental monitoring system, then your access controls, alarms, then your CCTV, DBM, etc. Then this layer or level 3 becomes really very important, because this is actually taking care of your quality, your limbs related functions, your manufacturing operations management or manufacturing execution system, e-logbooks, then document management system, then your historian, then overall equipment effectiveness, data performance, of course WMS, and track and trace. There may be some other systems, but I tried my best to uh, take care of certain most important systems here. Then here, if you go to supervisory layer or enterprise layer, you have your SAP, you have data lakes, your cybersecurity, right? Now, from Sparta perspective, we are trying our best to have connected solution, right? Which is connected from level 1 to level 4, right? So that we can have our meaningful dashboards, meaningful key performance indicators, and meaningful resolution. Apart from that, it is aimed to get early quality indicators, right? That's why we always term it as predictive or preventive quality. So now if I go from to my next slide, so ultimate target is basically to have predictive quality. So we have multiple tools within trackwise and within other offering of Honeywell Sparta systems, so that you can get all these benefits. One is your on time delivery, then your overall equipment effectiveness, then your successful NPI, then capacity utilization, right first time, which is your first pass yield, and defects per million order, right? So there are going to be multiple advantages when you start this journey with Sparta, which is from reactive quality towards predictive quality. Now here, one important thing which Mr. Ashutosh and Mr. Ramakrishna also focused, QMS is more than cloud, right? So basically, if you are having some cloud solution, it doesn't mean that you are having entire digital transformation, right? So you have multiple application. It can be on cloud, but for having proper digital transformation, you have to have connected systems. You have to have proper thought process how you are going to utilize these systems in proper way. Apart from that, if you talk about digital journey, then ultimately from manual towards managed, which is your taking care of multiple point solutions, then you go towards automated, then your extended, but ultimate end goal is digital quality, right? Where you are having all systems which are talking to each other and which are having proper integration. Now, if we talk about QMS journey from manufacturing plant perspective, you will have pre-digital plant, then you can have digital silos, then you are going to have connected plant, predictive plant, and adaptive plant. So our end goal is to have adaptive plant. So most of the industry or most of the companies in maybe Indian and Apex scenario are here, right? They are having multiple solutions talking to each other, but no predictability, no adaptability, right? So our end goal is basically to have adaptive plant. Now again, there are a lot many issues or challenges in our current pandemic area. So the one issue is related to process complexity and variability. Pace of innovation pace of innovation is really very high. You are having multiple novel products, so product complexity again becomes big issue. Industry 4.0 related challenge, your supply chain complexity, then patient centricity and rising cost. These are really very important issues and very important challenges. That's why again it basically focus on like having some system which can really have very good ROI, right? Then I will skip this slide, just 1 second. So here just I want to focus on one use case from Honeywell Sparta perspective. So for example, you are having some Experion DCS, right? Now what happens actually, if you take solution like TrackWise and you already have maybe Experion DCS or any other DCS, right? Your data which is basically there in your DCS can come uh, can be taken into Experion orchestration layer. Then your critical process parameter, and if at all any manufacturing anomaly is there, can be taken into your QMS, right? Now real time basis, if I want to create certain kappa, or maybe if I want to hold that batch, that message can immediately go to orchestration layer, and ultimately it will go to your DCS, which is in this case is Experion, right? So this becomes like holistic scenario. You are actually not waiting for your some operator to report that manufacturing anomaly which is happening in DCS, but actually you are taking action on real time basis, right? Ultimately this is going to result in multiple advantages. For example, in this way, yeah, your product is basically compliant. It will not result in poor quality product, or maybe out of spec product or out of trend product, right? There are multiple advantages. So as Honeywell, basically now we are having multiple use cases for connected system, so which will result ultimately in closed loop quality, right? So this is what I wanted to focus. So at last I would like to emphasize on few points. So we talk about industry 4.0 or IoT, but from Honeywell perspective, basically we are working towards true use cases on IoT or maybe pharma 4.0. Our most important target to have connected solutions which are talking to each other, so that industry can have maximum benefit. And we are trying to overcome these silos which are working as a uh, as an as an island. For example, one pocket of quality, maybe QMS, is working in its own silos, or maybe your document management system, or maybe DCS or MES, or maybe your EVMR, etc. So we have all those offerings for maybe detailed discussion. I think uh, team will provide you contact number, so you guys can contact us. So maybe I will conclude my session by saying this. Thanks again. This was a wonderful experience.
Thank you for that insightful session, Mr. Amit Guru, which really gave us a bird eye view on how organizations can leverage digital transformations and new age technologies to meet their ever challenging demands. Now, I would request you to please stay on stage, and I would like to open the floor for the participants to share any questions they would like to ask our speakers. I would also request Mr. Parsekar and Mr. Mittal to be live on stage. Thank you, Mr. Mittal, and thank you, Mr. Parsekar. So we have a couple of questions from the audience. The first question for Mr. Ashutosh Mittal. Most common mistake quality leaders make is to force fit their international processes to suit the need of the quality management system. What, according to you, are the key benefits of establishing a clear workflow and a standard set of process?
See, always there is a debate that which workflow is the best workflow. Even in offering, also there are some already pre-configured workflows. But I really want to say here is you select that workflow which you really want to follow. Okay, because that is going to help you in your own quality journey. No requirement tells you how to do. What to do is, yes, they want, okay, you have to do this, but how to do is your own decision. So decide which suits you best. But only personal suggestion is try to keep it as simple as possible. Otherwise, what will happen is you will not be getting best benefit out of this.
Thank you very much. Let me see if you have another question. Yes, the next question is for Mr. Parsikar. What are the key elements one needs to keep in mind while trying to streamline your QMS process?
Okay, that's a good question. From my experience of implementation of EQMS trackwise globally in multiple geographies, I feel the first thing you need to do is to ensure that your QMS processes are standardized and harmonized across the locations. So when we started implementing, we and there was some amount of hurry and energy that we need to implement it fast. The first decision we took was stop a bit and ensure that all the locations, all the manufacturing locations all over our world came to a common conclusion about some essential principles with which they are going to implement QMS. And SOPs were created taking into consideration all the stakeholders. It's very important. Any best practice will tell you all the stakeholders have to be on the table. Otherwise, there is always a to and fro. And then finally, it has to be approved by QA. So this is a basic prerequisite for implementation of EQMS. Now, any system like TrackWise is has very far-reaching impact and multi-dimensional impact. So it is not only how far it is going to impact. The moment TrackWise was impacted, we had an integration point, and health and safety in one of the European location contacted us saying that we also want TrackWise. So you see, normally these are the things which we do not foresee in future. So the second thing which I want to mention is you have to envisage what kind of data structure you are going to create, because the new technologies are going to be banked on this and they are going to unlock value from this. So these are some of the key elements. One can go on talking about TrackWise. We have lived TrackWise. We're still living TrackWise. So one can keep going on. But these are some of the critical things that we need to keep in mind.
Okay, great. Thank you. So now we have one question from Mr. Sudipta Saha, and this is for Mr. Amit Guru. Can you please explain what is the track and trace system and how it is integrated with QMS systems?
Can you please repeat because your voice was not audible actually? Just repeat it
Sure.
again.
Yeah. Just could you please explain what is the track and trace system and how it is integrated with QMS systems?
Yeah, so this is actually very good question. So basically, I think let me tell you again. Earlier, actually, Sparta was working as a Sparta systems only. Now we are part of Honeywell family, right? So now we have multiple other solutions in our bucket, and out of those multiple solutions, one solution is track and trace, right? So there are multiple use cases of connecting track and trace with QMS, and we have done it for our few clients as well in maybe last 2 to 3 months time frame. So basically whenever you are going to track your shipments or maybe your primary packaged container, then there may be multiple exceptions or your failures or maybe deviations or incidents, and those can be taken care within uh, trackwise QMS, right? So this is just one use case, but I'm going to have maybe detailed session on this, and I think all our end users will be invited. So this just one use case I want to uh, uh, talk right now, but I am going to have detailed session on this.
Thank you very much. Our next question to Mr. Ashutosh Mittal from Mr. Santosh. What is your views around AI and ML? Which areas can have significant impact? Mr. Mittal, you're on mute.
Sorry, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
See, AI, ML are very trendy nowadays. Whosoever don't know AI, ML seems that they are very far away. But I think see AI, ML, especially into quality management system. I think think twice before starting it. Okay, especially when we are talking in terms of pharma industry, you can't really depend on something that somebody bases your machine learning or artificial intelligence come back and tell you, okay, this deviation will go in this category. Okay, my question to people is, are you going to follow that rigorously? Even if you have those inputs, ultimately decision still lies with your own understanding of the issue, with your own understanding of things happening. So probably, I think AI ML should be your last thing to do once you have done all your basics work well. Once you have all the data, you have the data maturity, you understand things really well, and then you start with something very simple first. Okay, very simple means either you can go for a visual inspection, AIML based, or you start with something which is a probably a more human intervention thing. And once you see that this is working good in your company, whatever decision is coming from this AIML, you are ready to accept. Then only you can actually horizontally deploy this to other things.
Okay. Thank you. Uh,
And
one question
just
from, yeah, go
yeah,
ahead.
just one important, maybe I will take 30 seconds. So I totally agree with you, Mr. Ashutosh. That's what actually, when we were working on AI and ML aspects from Sparta Honeywell perspective, we had actually multiple sessions with FDA folks, US FDA folks, and MHRA folks. And that is what exactly was the outcome, that whenever we are using AI, there should be a lot of focus on validation aspect, how you are going to take algorithm, how you are taking those AI suggestions within your system. For example, now we have, like, whenever you are raising complaint, automatically AI algorithm is telling you whether it's a critical complaint or it's a maybe minor complaint, right? But yeah, lot many aspects are there which must be considered before embracing AI or ML technique.
Yes, Mr. Pasigar, you want to add something? Are you on mute?
You are on
Mr.
mute, Mr. Yeah, yeah.
I would like to add, because this is a question which is, kind of being asked very often. See, first of all, I agree with Ashutosh that uh, AI ML, one has to be very careful, because here learning cannot end in 90%, 95%, and it will never be acceptable that way. It has to be 100% right. And even a 0.1% miss can lead to major breaches of data quality, patient safety, and data integrity, and product quality. So we have to be very careful. Now the big question that is asked in the top, by the top management, is when they hear that AI is there, ML is there, all digital technologies are there, now automate, and you let me know, otherwise we will see that you are having some reluctance to it. So what we did is we kind of classified the entire sequence of activities into two categories. One, it's something that will need an active human judgment, and other which are very routine repetitive activities. And even routine repetitive activities may have some human judgment, but the level of human judgment is less. Now again, when you are going to take these activities for automation, it may be RPA or AI or ML, whatever model, you have to put them into an incubator phase and do repeated iterations with those technologies to ensure that the end result has to be 100% decisive and conclusive. Then you may use exceptions. I mean, if an AI engine says that out of 100 data points that have been given, 90 data points, I'm sure to say that this is out of question. Out of and the 10 I cannot decide. So now these 10 have to be taken by the people to make a judgment on. So it goes into an incubator phase, and then people have to really do those kind of iterations for sufficient period of time. AI ML in medical devices guidance has come from FDA that also talks about uh, exercising extreme care and precaution, and they keep on saying none of our earlier requirement is being waived off just because you are talking about new technology. You ensure that the output is achieved with trust and with integrity.
Thank you very much. So I have a next question from Mr. Rajesh Rathod for Mr. Amit Guru. Is it possible to integrate LMS with TrackWise and MES both as a part of digital transformation?
Yeah, Mr. Rajesh, this is very, very important question. So, thank you very much for asking this. So, when you talk about LMS, yes, answer is yes, and we have multiple use cases. For example, I will give you one use case. For example, there is some event-based training, right? Some deviation happen, and that's due to maybe due to some operator error or mistake, right? Now what you need to do, you have to retrain that operator, right? So in that way, when some training need or learning need is coming out of some deviation, maybe incident, etc., or quality event, then immediately this message will be sent to your LMS, and then all those training will be completed within LMS, right? Once this training is completed, then that message will come to your TrackWise that yes, this deviation related actions or CAPA has been completed successfully. This is one use case. Now, when you talk about MES, there are multiple use cases. For example, in MES also you are handling exceptions, right? Manufacturing anomalies, right? Now, in MES is not QMS, right? We need to understand the difference. In MES, now once you get some exception, then that also can be reported back to TrackWise. There we can take kappa, we can do root cause investigation, then we can have effectiveness check, etc., and we can send messages again back to MES that whether this batch or impacted batch is to be hold, or how you are going to take maybe usage decision within SAP. That is just one use case. Then there are multiple other use cases, right? Another use case, because you are handling equipment master in MES, right? Equipment tracking, we all know, can be done within TrackWise, right? So entire equipment tracking you are doing in TrackWise, but your equipment master based on your equipment tracking workflows and TrackWise is available within MES, right? This is second use case. Maybe third use case is your supplier quality management. You are having all your approved vendors and approved material within MES, right? Now, on what basis you are doing this approval of your vendors, supplier sites, and material, right? It is basically in your TrackWise, right? Entire supplier quality management, supplier audits, etc., right? So that also another use case where you integrate QMS and MES. I have plenty of use cases, and actually, to be very honest, I was working on this topic yesterday night because we are going to have some detailed discussion, I think, in first week of January. Thanks for asking this.
Thank you very much. So the next question, this will be the final question. We are running out of time. So this question is for both Mr. Mittal and Mr. Ramakrishnan. This is from Ms. Rajni Jha. How are reputed pharma companies ensuring skill generation and upgradation within existing manpower resources across cross-functional teams across multiple sites with respect to migration from existing status, with respect to complete digitalization? So maybe anyone can pick and start.
So
Mr.
I
Mittal?
Yeah. So see, I really want to put in a little different way. Okay. So if you really want today, probably 10 years back, 10 years, 20 years back, when there was no Google Maps, you really, if you have to go to some new city, you need more skill set. Because you need to understand where a bus stand is there, where you have to go, where hotel is there, You have to navigate more. But now with GPS, you are going to any city, and there is no skill set required. You just need to understand how to use your Google Map. So same way, if people are thinking that going digital needs a different skill set or a higher skill set, this is just your thought process. It is not the fact. Okay, and I can tell you, probably people like me who are pretty old now, maybe we need to understand how to use these systems better. But this new generation are pretty fast. You give them that, okay, this is the new application. Before even you start thinking, they will do all R&D and how to use it. So I don't think there is a need for a very proper due diligence to do a complete skill mapping and then start thinking that you need some skill set to being digital. So I think you just use it. I think new generation know how to use them very well. Mr. Ramkrishnan can add.
Yeah, yeah. So I agree with Ashutosh. The overarching, principle is, if you really want to learn it hard, you will learn it. Okay, and you will get your learning pathway from across various resources of learning, whether in-house or external. Now, what can those resources be? Number one, as a pharma company, you must, and I'm sure most of the companies do, have a well established training and development center which has quality approved SOPs, operational SOPs for all the systems. Now, for instance, if you are implementing learning management system, or say TrackWise, to begin with, the internal resources may not be knowledgeable in it. You may be hiring someone, and then along the line the project is implemented. A slow osmosis of knowledge starts from those resources to those who are users or already existing IT team members who want to configure the software or support the software. So I've talked about one, internal learning and management system, SOPs. Number two, project implementations, dirting your hands, soiling your hands when the projects are being implemented. That is yet another source of training and learning. Third, of course, nowadays, vendors teach you so much. Vendors, when they come and work with you, they handhold you trackwise all through the implementation. There was such a close interaction with the product company, the partner, that at the end of it, even if you don't want to be knowledgeable, you become knowledgeable. Okay, and and finally, there are a lot of online resources, whether it is Coursera, Udemy. There are lots of very good resources on YouTube as well, and you can use them even when you have time or you don't have time. In a fast-paced city like Mumbai, where I have to drive for 2 hours up and down, my one of the best things I do is just put in a YouTube video of some new technology, and the new YouTube Prime video, I can just put it, and even if you listen to it instead of anything, automatically a lot you can learn. So you need to be willing to learn, and you will find your way through what you want to learn.
Ashish, I think you are on mute.
So sorry. Yeah. So thank you very much, Mr. Pasekar. Mr. Amit, would you like to add something here?
Yeah, I will take maybe 1 minute because I know we are out of time. This learning is actually continuous process, and when Mr. Ram and Mr. Ashutosh was talking about it, it reminded me like my continuous discussions with Mr. Ashutosh, Mr. Ram, about workflows, about integration aspects, right? About having teammates from different functions like QA, QC, warehouse, manufacturing, etc. And it's basically journey, right? It's your successive realization of your progressive goals, right? So that's why it's continuous process. Till today I am learning lot many things, even from very new persons. Literally this is endless process, and again it's a joint effort. When we interact with our customers like Biocon and Vocard, we learned a lot, and even we did significant enhancements in our product. So, and this is basically having multiple facets. So it's again endless, and as you rightly mentioned, there are multiple way outs And from Sparta and Honeywell also, we are having our learning academy. We have training academy. There also you can take a lot of information about all these new stuff like Pharma 4.0 or IoT stuff. Right. Yeah. Thanks.
Great. So, with this, I would like to thank you all for being such a wonderful audience. I would like to also take this opportunity to thank all our esteemed speakers for taking out time from their busy schedule to be a part of this exclusive webinar, which surely has been engaging and enriching for all our participants. So, thank you once again for being a wonderful audience. With that, we conclude this webinar on strategic insights on transforming quality management, brought to you by Blue Tech Media and powered by Sparta Systems. Till then, take care, stay safe.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
team. Thanks,
Thank
Ashish.
you.
Thanks,
Thank
Mr. Ram. Thanks, Ashutosh.
Thank you, Ashutosh. Thank you, Amit. Thank you,
Bye.
Ashish.
Bye.